how you can utilize and maximize your CRM. The most challenging part of having a CRM in the business or in your business is going to be more of transitioning portion or the time that you would decide to get a new CRM or it's your first time to have a CRM for your business. So it's pretty much like an adjustment because you would have to actually decide if which CRM is going to be best fit for your business, if which CRM is most likely within also the budget that you have in terms of the pricing that you will have to pay monthly basis. And also if it is exactly the system that you would want to use for your business. Hi, everyone. And you might be wondering, I'm actually having Sharad's Zoom here. It's his name. I wouldn't be changing it because I might be having problems later on switching it back to his name. I'm actually using his Zoom. Sharad is currently traveling. So I'm doing the session for today. And please feel free to ask me questions if you have questions. The discussion today is merely on how you can maximize the use of your CRM. So in this case, the sample CRM that we'll be looking into will be REsimpli. But if there would be any general questions that you have, since others here are not REsimpli users, then if I could answer, then I'll be more than happy to answer it for you. All right. Okay. So I guess it's good to start now. Like I've mentioned, so the discussion is going to be of how you can utilize and maximize your CRM. The most challenging part of having a CRM in the business or in your business is going to be more of transitioning portion or the time that you would decide to get a new CRM or it's your first time to have a CRM for your business. So it's pretty much like an adjustment because you would have to actually decide if which CRM is going to be best fit for your business, if which CRM is most likely within also the budget that you have in terms of the pricing that you will have to pay monthly basis. And also if it is exactly the system that you would want to use for your business. Okay, so there are a lot of things that you consider. There are a lot of things that you have to decide on, especially when you're starting off and you wanted to make sure that you're all organized. So in terms of choosing a CRM, there's a lot of CRM around. There's a lot that you can choose from. Each CRM, of course, would have different offers or features and functionalities. Now, if you have already a CRM and you're just deciding on switching on a different CRM, most of the users that I had the opportunity to actually have calls with during their onboarding, what's stopping them from actually like switching over is more of like their leads data, their phone numbers. How would they go about it? Will it be like a very smooth process, or is it something that they would not be very happy about like during the process because it's going to take a lot of their effort and time? So when you decide to actually have like a new CRM or getting a CRM for your business, it would really take your effort and time, like especially like in the start of it, because that's the time that you would have to invest, like looking into the system itself, how it works, how would you have your data get to the CRM, how would you have your team members to be part of that CRM or into the system. So in REsimpli, for example, so if you are like using already current CRM, you're switching over, for example, to REsimpli. So currently, I know for REsimpli users, you're aware we have unlimited onboarding process. And recently, we actually launched these training courses for you to get on to the system without having to book the call with our onboarding associates. So the training courses, these are all walkthrough videos, very basic that you can look into and will serve as a guide on how you can go about setting your account. Okay. So when you set up the account, the very first thing that you will have to think about is for the phone numbers, that will be very important. Are you going to be using new phone numbers or are you going to be porting over numbers that you already have? So that will be something that you will have to think about. Now, if you're getting new phone numbers, you would always have the option to get that within the system. So the local phone numbers are available. Now, in terms of porting over, you have the option to actually bring along existing phone numbers with you. So porting is a process wherein you transfer the phone number from one system to another. Okay, so for example, the phone numbers, it's actually used in a different CRM. You wanted to bring it along with you when you switch over to REsimpli, then that will be porting process. All right. So porting is it's an easy process, I would say, because in your end, you just have to comply with the requirements that we have for porting, like letter of authorization, your number porting file, the latest invoice for the numbers, and then the PIN information for the numbers. The process of like, submitting it, following up on when it will get completed, when is the date it's going to get completed, that will be on our part. And then we keep you posted on the progress. If there would be anything that you would be needing from you, we will let you know. So we have actually a support associate that handles porting. So everything that is happening with the porting process, that is actually handled accordingly with one of our support associates. So as long as you have all the complete requirements and information for the porting, then we will proceed with it. There shouldn't be any problems. Its regular time frame for processing is 7 to 10 business days. Okay, so I think there's a question here from Eric. So this REsimpli connect well with smartphone. So for smartphone, what I notice is that users with smartphone, they actually port the numbers over to REsimpli. So what we do is that we process porting, have those numbers switch over to the REsimpli system. And once that they have completed porting, especially if they're porting over all of the numbers that they have in smartphone, they have now to decide if they would still continue services with smartphone or not. Because like in REsimpli, we also offer the same, like most of the functionalities and features, like for calling, for receiving calls, and then for texting as well. So Eric, does that answer your question? We have here from Brittany, you said it has so far for us, but not all functions are available in the app versus in your computer. And that is true. I would definitely agree to that. If you notice, we're doing constant updates with our app, both for iOS and Android. So our goal is that eventually we'll have what we have in the web, and we will have it in the app. So that is like a work in progress. If there's anything that I can assure you is that we're making sure that we get to that point that whatever we have in the web will actually reflect also in the app. Okay. So Adam, for the in-app service, doesn't work well, would like to see user info come across screen along with a number. It should actually display the user information, especially user information. Do you actually refer to like lead information?
Yeah, so when I'm
Mhm.
answering directly on my desktop, I can see like the address, the name, and the phone number coming across my screen. All right. Versus when I'm looking at my phone and there's a lead calling me, all I'm able to see is their number, which is really like a disadvantage in my opinion. I don't know if this is
Okay.
the case with iPhone. I have downloaded the app on iPhone and it works well, but I've only tested dialing out on the iPhone, which also I'd like to mention I'm not able to do on my Android phone. I am not able to dial out using the app from my phone, which is very frustrating, but it does work for iPhones. I have tested it. I have reached out to you guys about this, but it's just not on the
Mhm.
top of my priority list. So it is what it is. I was just sharing that information for the chat.
Yeah, of course. I'll go ahead and check that. And Adam, if you have like the time to send me over, like I don't know if a sample lead could work on this because you said it's like generally like the Android app for you is not working, and you're using the in-app answering system for the inbound call. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll have the mobile team look into that because there shouldn't be any like issues at all at the moment, not that we've known of, but we can definitely check with them. I could have them do some test calls for your account so that they can see exactly if there's anything at all that they need to look into. Okay,
I
so I'll be
appreciate
in
that
touch with
response,
you.
but I
Yeah.
definitely have tried to walk down that road, and
Mhm.
we really didn't find a solution. But I appreciate you saying that. The
But
solution on
did
my end is
okay.
just to use an iPhone going forward.
Right. But did you try uninstalling the app, installing it back,
Yes,
and did it solve the issue or the issue is still persisting?
we have absolutely tried that, and it didn't change anything on my end.
Yeah, okay. So I'll just connect with the mobile team about this and see if there's anything at all that they have to do in terms of looking into it per the Android app. So
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
but I'll be in touch with you on this one directly, Adam. Okay.
Oh,
So
you're amazing. Sounds good.
yeah, I will be in touch with you directly. Okay, I'll just note on this one. Okay. Yes, Eric, you can receive pictures through REsimpli because all the phone numbers are MMS capable. And you can send out as well. So if you notice, if you click on sending SMS, there would be an option in there to add attachments. So yes. Also, for Adam Bustamante, you said you're having a difficult time using driving for dollars. So can you be more specific? Can you send me details about this one? And then, yeah, because it would be best if I could get this to the mobile team and have it like user specific issue that they can actually just look into it and see if, they have anything in their end that they have to fix on this. Adam?
Yeah, because basically
Yes.
what's happening is I'm using it, and as I put it on, it like lags like maybe 3 to 5 seconds, and
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't make the driving for dollars app very efficient, especially when when you're halfway down the block and you're barely tapping on a property that you're in front of 10 seconds ago. So that's what my situation is. And also I was having the same situation as the other Adam there, making calls out from the app too also. So I don't know if it's buggy or if it needs to be updated or if it could be my phone.
Do you use Droid or do you use iPhone, dude?
I use Android.
Okay, so both of our problems are consistent as far as that regard.
Yeah,
I
and I
use
think that
Android as well.
yeah. I think it's just a situation with Android because I've been on some of the masterminds and they have the same situation.
Yeah, we just got to get iPhones. Screw it.
Right.
Yeah, but for both of you, Adam, I'm gonna go ahead and check this with the mobile team. That's for sure. I'll be in touch with you directly, like individually on this issue, and we'll see if what's going on. Okay, so yeah, this is for the app, and by the way, if you're using the in-app answering system and you're answering the calls through the app, please make sure that in your call flow you are not checking the enable whisper message option. Let me just show it to you real quick. So let's go to the call flow. Let's get into that. By the
Someone's a
way,
little behind on their
yeah,
task due, huh?
yeah, I
As a
have a
joke.
lot. Yeah, I'm asking the backend to clear that because every time I have a call, like users would ask me, "Are you not working on your task?" And I was like, "Oh, it's just a demo account." And then they're saying, "Oh, Sharad should look into it." So maybe I should have that clean up. Thanks for reminding me. All right, so let's go to the call flow. So if you're using the N-app answering system, and if you are answering the calls through the app, not through your computer, please make sure that this option in here for the enable whisper message is not checked. Okay, so current functionality, it's not actually working with the app for the whisper message. So just FYI for those who are using the in-app answering system. And for everyone's benefit, so I'm talking about in-app answering system functionality. This is if you wanted the calls to actually be answered through your computer or through the REsimpli app. So if you have someone in your team whose task is actually to answer phone calls in a day, you have this option wherein they could just answer it straight from REsimpli without having to get them like a forwarding number, a US phone number. So a lot of you for sure you have like VAs or team members working outside the US. So if you are actually giving them the task to answer phone calls for you, with the in-app answering system, there wouldn't be a need for you to get them a US phone number to answer phone calls for you, like for your Simply. You can just actually get on the option for the in-app answering. All right. So in-app answering, this is of course assigning the forwarding to a specific role in your team. So if you want all the calls to get routed to whoever is the acquisition manager for a lead, then that option is available here in in-app answering. And of course, all the other roles that you have set up in your REsimpli account. Okay. And then since we're already here on this page, so Eric here had a question for setting up campaigns. All right. So when you are starting off like your account or you're switching over from one CRM to another, it is very important that you set up your campaigns correctly and exactly how you wanted it to be set up. So on this, you see manage numbers page. I know REsimpli users are very familiar of how this looks like. So the phone numbers in here, it could be numbers that you can get from REsimpli. We have local phone numbers available for you. Or if you are processing porting for your phone numbers, this is also where you will see it when the numbers are added into the account as soon as they are actually, they have completed the porting process. All right. So for you to set up your phone numbers, you just click on this by numbers. If you're getting a new phone number straight from the system, you can select whichever area code that you would want to use for your campaigns. So for this purpose, let me just have 618. All right. And then the numbers displayed on this page, these are all the available numbers that you could have. So you can select one at a time. And then from here, this is, of course, where you would have to actually make sure that you set up the number correctly, whether you're using it for your leads or sellers or for your buyers. And then, of course, you get to assign a campaign name for it. A campaign name, it will be best if you have it like very specific. Some users actually would use like a list name for their campaign name. Others would use locations. Others would use the name of their users. So it's really going to depend on what is your workflow.
So I have a question about that because we
Yes.
have a couple different lists that we hit. We have multiple targeted lists that we hit. So do I have to create a campaign for each one of those lists that we hit, and each either whether we get it through cold calling or SMS? Because if I do, that's a lot of campaigns. So I just want to make sure I'm understanding you correctly.
Yes, you have the option to do that, Eric, or you can also have like one general phone number for like, for example, your cold calling, and then just have one phone number for it. But having like different campaign phone numbers for each of the leads that you have would actually give you accuracy in terms of lead tracking. Because remember, when you will actually have to check on your KPIs, like the lead flows, you would see in there where the lead is coming from, which specific lead source, and then the campaign. So the decision is going to be in your end if you want to have like all of those different lists to be set up with different campaign phone numbers, or you would want actually to have those different lists to be like in groups so that it will not have like a lot of phone numbers for you to set up. So, like I've said, the purpose of this is that more of accuracy in lead tracking. So you get like the best tracking in terms of the leads added into your account per lead source and campaign.
Okay.
So it's going to be up to you what works for you. What do you think is the best setup that you will have? It's just that for the recommendation for the system, of course, like I've said, accuracy in lead tracking would depend on how you set up your different campaign phone numbers. For
Gotcha.
others,
So
they have it like more general, like cold calling, they have just one phone number for it. Bulk SMS, they have one phone number for it. Others too are very specific, like their cold calling, they have like 10 different phone numbers for it. For their bulk SMS, they have 10 also. So it's really going to depend on how you wanted it set up, how you wanted actually your leads to be like categorized in terms of like their sources and the campaigns. And of course, like for lead tracking, if you're very particular of it.
gotcha. Okay. So I mean, we already have numbers for each of our markets that we do call from smartphone. I would just have to port those in to the REsimpli, and then have those. Then I can use those numbers for the tracking portion of everything. Correct?
Yes. So when you will port over your smartphone numbers, what's going to happen is that it gets into the REsimpli system. And then every call, every text that you will have for those phone numbers from smartphone will now actually get into REsimpli, and they will be created as leads. So the other requirement for porting, which is the number porting file, that would actually ask you information of the lead source and campaign that we will be assigning to those numbers that you are going to be porting. But I'll send you over that porting process information so that you could go over that, and then you could ask me questions if you have any questions about that. Okay?
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so yeah, do you have any further questions related to this, numbers, call flow? Any questions?
No other questions.
Okay, so let's just continue this, like, for others who are actually have other concerns or questions about, setting up campaign phone numbers. So on this one, you would have to assign a campaign name. You would have to select the lead source of it. And then, of course, you will have to select also the call flow that you're assigning to this campaign. All right. So on this, let me just have this as high equity, for example. Call flow, I'll just have it to owner call flow. And then if you have multiple markets, then you will have option in here to select which market it should belong. Okay, so I'll just have it under primary. And then you will see here lead assignment option. So for lead assignment options, you have round robin, first to claim, and manual assignment. So if you have multiple users under one role, then you can actually select how the assignment would be for leads. Now, of course, round robin is if you have like 3 different acquisition managers and you want the system to evenly distribute the leads to them, then you can select round robin. First to claim, this is if you have also multiple users in one role and then the lead is created, there would be an email sent over to those 3 different AMs. And then they would have, of course, the opportunity to look into the lead. And if they wanted to work with that lead, they can assign it to themselves, whoever actually gets like the first access to it. So that's first to claim. And then manual assignment, this is if you have someone in your team who is actually tasked to manually assign leads, if you have multiple persons also on the same role. So others, like their setup is more, they have a lead manager, and then lead manager would manually assign the leads to acquisition managers if they have multiple acquisition managers, because like sometimes there would be like different locations they're doing business with, and they're very specific on how the lead assignment would be. So that's the case, but it would be dependent on whatever workflow that you have. Now, you would actually see in here that the owner role would always be, of course, part of every campaign that you will have. And then you will see here the roles that you have set up in your account for different users. And if you enable it, it means that that particular role is going to be part of the said campaign. Okay, and you will have also option from here when you're setting up the number to select if who are those specific users, under the acquisition manager role, for example, is going to be part of the campaign. Okay, and do not forget that once that you have the number already set up, do not forget to do test calls and test SMS for the numbers. That is very important before you do or start any marketing campaign that you have planned already, just to make sure all the numbers are working and you should be good to go. So do test calls, test SMS, just to make sure. All right. Okay, so for the setting up of phone numbers, so I'm gonna get back to the numbers page. All right. Okay, for those who have questions about the other columns that you see here on the numbers page, spam check column, this is actually for you to get updated if the numbers are being flagged as spam by the carriers. You don't need to do anything in your end. We already have the remediation process in place for this. So what's going to happen is that, for example, for this number, it's marked spam by T-Mob. So what we will do in our end is that submit the numbers that are being flagged as spam by carriers, and then until, of course, that the spam flag falls off. And then once that it falls off, you would actually see that the status is going to be updated to good. And this is actually done on a weekly basis by our backend. So like I said, in your end, you don't have to do anything. This is something that we are actually going to do in our end, making sure that all of your numbers are going to be without the spam flag. So Yeah. Now, 10 DLC status. I know all of you are familiar with this, whether you're using REsimpli or not, all the other CRM systems that has to do with phone numbers, and you use it for texting, carriers require for 10 DLC registration. Now, in this case, if you notice, mine is not linked because, of course, I haven't filled out the registration form for this since that this is for the demo account. But in your case, if you see the badge here for 10 DLC registration, it means that you haven't filled it out yet, or the registration is still in progress. Now, if there's anything I can assure everyone in here is that there is actually no decrease in the delivery rate of text messages, whether it's one-off text or text messages part of the drip campaign, if your registration is not yet completed. So the delivery rate is still 100%. In our end with REsimpli, we make sure we follow up for the registration to be completed. It's just that carriers have this very slow process of having the registration completed. But we always do our follow-ups, and we make sure that we actually get in touch with our service provider so that the registration gets completed. Okay. All right. Let me check. Okay, for Danny, in terms of dialer and list stacking, that will go live by January of next year. So that's going to be part of the big updates that we will be doing on January. It is going to be a cold calling single line dialer, and that will be available in the list stacking page. Okay, I'm very excited about it, by the way, just to share with all of you. Very excited about it because a lot of users has been asking for it. It will be a very good way also for you to handle all those leads coming from cold calling, because you could already do the cold calling within the system instead of having a different app that you will be using for cold calling. And not only that, once you have pre-qualified or you qualified a lead, when you did the cold calling or when you cold call them, you can already push that over to the active leads page in your REsimpli account. Yeah, and yeah, Eric, how can your lead manager assign an acquisition agent leads? So it means that if is this because of the assignment type? If you're choosing manual assignment?
I'm not sure, because if you open a lead and he tries to set an appointment for the lead manager, there's nobody's name under there, and so we were having trouble with figuring out why there was nobody's name. It would be kept coming.
Okay. Is this actually what you're referring to, that nothing is showing up in here?
So if you go to task and appointments, or what's the main
Oh, here. Okay,
say
let's
you
go
wanted
with
to say
task.
add appointment. If you wanted to add an appointment, that's that where it says availability for, and it says no one's name pops up under there.
Okay.
So I don't know what to do for that. I don't know if I've done anything wrong or how to set that up.
Okay, so the only time that you're not going to be seeing options in here for your users in the account for availability is that if there is actually no team assigned also for the said lead. So this happens when, your lead source here and your campaign here is actually other. It means that
So
it's not assigned to a specific campaign yet.
How do you assign the team to it then? I'm confused.
Yeah, the team assignment would depend on the campaign that you are going to be attaching to that lead. So for example, on this, if this is going to be under other, so it means that there is no specific team assigned to it, because of course there's no like campaign number attached to that particular campaign. What you can do is that here in actions, you edit and you make sure that you assign a campaign for this particular lead. That's the only time that you would actually see options for those users, availability in your calendar when you're setting up the appointment. So if your lead manager would check on the team tab, she or he would notice that no one is here. So it means that when he or she will set up the appointment, there wouldn't be also any users, under that availability dropdown, because there's no team yet assigned to that lead. Team assignment would always depend on how you actually set up the campaign. And
Okay.
if you wanted, people on a certain campaign be assigned to a lead, then you will have actually to assign that campaign to that certain lead. If it is not assigned to a specific campaign phone number, then you would actually see that there is no one in here on the team tab. And then when you are setting up appointment and even tasks, no one is there available in the drop down for you to select.
Can you so can you
Mhm.
can you set up the same phone number for two different campaigns? So let's say I have a cold calling campaign and an SMS campaign. Can I have it like route to the same phone number if it's in one market? Because we're in multiple markets as well, and that's how messy the campaigns can get for us if we're in multiple markets and we're hitting multiple lists. It can really just be a long, drawn out thing. So I'm just trying to track as much as I can, all while keeping everything pretty condensed. So am I able to set up the same? So let's say I just have a cold calling campaign and it has one number and I have an SMS campaign for the same market. Can it have that same number?
Actually, one number is used for one specific lead source. It cannot be like two different lead sources for the same phone number. And you would see that in the numbers page. Like it would really ask you to assign the numbers like per lead source. So there is actually no way like you could combine like cold calling / bulk SMS. So if that number is for cold calling, then that number is for cold calling, and then you will have a different number, of course, for your bulk SMS. So that's how it works. But if you want, Eric, I can do a call with you. I can check the campaign phone numbers that you have currently set up, as well as the team members also that you have set up for the different campaigns. Let's
Yeah,
just look into it. Yeah.
that'd be great.
Yeah. So I'll get in touch with you, send you my calendar link. I don't know if you will be available by tomorrow because we are not going to be available on Thursday for Thanksgiving.
Right.
And
Yeah, that should
I'm
be
not sure
fine.
if I can be doing a call on Friday because I will be traveling by then, but I would still be working. But I'm not sure if the internet connection, we're going to like a remote area. So I don't know if the internet service there is actually stable. But if we cannot do it tomorrow, I will have available time on Monday just to check everything that you have set up so far. And then I can discuss
Okay,
it further with you. Okay?
that's fine. Do you want me to send you my email in the chat, or how do you want me to do it?
Yeah, just send it over to me at Daniel at REsimpli, because I am not sure if I can pull up your information using your Zoom name. So can you email me at Daniel at REsimpli so I can reply back to that email, if you can, please?
Is it DANIELLE
Yes, at REsimpli.
at REsimpli? Okay, thank you.
Okay,
.com.
you're welcome. Yes. Okay, I'll wait for that email then.
All
All
right,
right,
thank you.
so yeah, I'm also discussing for everyone, I'm also discussing the campaign phone numbers and those questions that Eric has as part of the discussion today, because this is like a very important setup that you will have to go through in terms of like setting up your account, making sure that every campaign phone number you have is set up properly and it is also set up with the right persons in your team. And of course, those right persons should also have the correct roles or right roles so that when the leads are coming in, there wouldn't be any confusion in your end and there wouldn't be like any incorrect assignment as the leads are added into your account. Okay. Now, the next thing that I will have to touch base with is integration. So our integration currently is done through Zapier. Next week's call, it will actually be handled by Anthony. He's one of our onboarding associates who handles any integration calls, integration requests, any integration inquiries. So that will be on next Tuesday's call. He would actually like go through with the process and how the integration is done and how you could actually have more customized integration, whether it is with your cold calling app, bulk SMS app, or even if you have like, email parser integration needed, your website. So he will go through with that, but that will be for the next week's call. Okay. So it will discuss all the integration related questions, what you need to know, what you need actually to do. And of course, the assistance that we will be providing as you go through the integration process. Okay. All
Hey,
right. No,
Daniel.
yes.
Hey, this is Jeremy. I got a quick question. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Can I
go
stop
ahead.
for a second?
So, question, and I think you may have covered this. I just want to make sure I'm right. So, for us, what we do with our process, so we use launch control for SMS, right? Let's just take SMS for example,
Yep.
and we may pull, we may pull a variation of lists, right? We may pull a variation of campaigns. And ideally, my question is, we pull campaigns a lot. We pull a lot of data, so I feel like we're going to run through our allotted numbers. And one of the things we're looking at is there a way where we don't have to assign phone numbers to these SMS campaigns? Because I feel like we've got so many other ways to track, like tags, campaign names. I feel like, when we came from the Podio side of the things, each, what I'm saying, campaign didn't have a phone number. You kind of knew, okay, this came from SMS. This was the lead source. This is the campaign. So we can kind of pull and still track data that way. And the reason I ask, because for me, sometimes I know when I'm returning those phone calls, I'm having to call back from that campaign's phone number associated with it, right? And ideally, in my world, especially if I jump on the phones and play acquisitions, if I call Danielle, who's an SMS lead that was forwarded to me, I want to be like, hey, Danielle, this is Jeremy. Call me back on my desk phone at 901-235, whatever. Is there a way I can kind of simplify it for me? Because I may not be the sharpest knife in the drawer. And my team we do a lot of campaigns. And I just kind of feel like for me, it simplifies it just a little bit. Like me alleviating so many phone numbers, having attached so many numbers with so many campaigns. Is there a way that we can still track the KPIs without using the phone numbers?
Oh, well, as per functionality of the system, Jeremy, it would really require you like a phone number, for the leads that you will have in the system, for you to use when you're calling out on when you're texting out. The only option that you will have is that if you are very particular of the callback to get routed to a specific phone number other than that campaign number you attach to the lead, then you would have the option to change the caller ID when you're calling out. So in the dialer, you would actually see that there is an option in there for you to change the caller ID when calling out. Um, I'm not sure if this is like the best way that you can go about it. But then again, like I've said, as per functionality, it will really require you to have phone numbers attached to the leads for you to call out and then text out if you need to. So here, you would actually see, okay. All right, this change caller ID option. But the numbers that you will have in here that you can select from to be the caller ID when you're calling out would still be the campaign numbers that you have in your account. So other users, if I may share with you, what they're doing is that if they have like more of a general number that they wanted the lead to call them back, not the campaign number assigned to that lead, they actually set up like a general phone number in their account, and then they choose it as the caller ID when they're calling out. So when the lead is calling back, it's going to go to that number. It's going to actually follow whatever call flow that they have for that number. But like I said, this is just more of like a recommendation or a workaround for it.
And it can that be set as default, so I don't have to go in and do it every time? Or do you
So
have
for
to?
example, on this one, I want to use this number. So there is going to be an option to select in here to mark it as your default number to call this lead only or for all the existing leads that you have. And this is per user, okay? So this is per user. So if it is only for you that you wanted this set up, then you can have that set up for yourself. Now, other users also will have this option if they wanted to.
Okay.
Okay, so for example, this one Main Street, this is associated with my absentee campaign, but then I don't want like when I call out that this number is going to be showing up, but rather I wanted to use like more of the number assigned to me or like a general number, then I will just actually have to use this option for changing the caller ID. And then I could have it applied to this lead only, or if I would want it to be applied to all the existing leads assigned to me.
And if I put it on even if we flip this lead to a drip campaign, right? Would it still come from the same phone number, or how would that work?
The drip campaign, actually, that's the thing about it, because that is going to be with whatever the campaign is assigned to the lead for the drip.
That's cool. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
for
cool.
the drip, just for the drip. But then like when you call out, when you do a one-off text, when you send out ringless voicemail, then yeah, you can actually use a different phone number other than whatever is the campaign phone number that is assigned to the lead.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay. All right. Yep. So yeah, any other questions about this related to this? Any clarifications? Okay. Now, in setting up your account, so we went over already like the call flow, the phone numbers. The next to it is that making sure you set up your users correctly. So I know that when you're working with team members, a lot actually wants to be very specific on the permissions that you're giving, the access that you're giving to your team members, and you can manage all of that within the system. Okay, so when you have a sub user in your account, when you're adding, of course, it's going to ask you basic details, role assignment. This is actually where you can assign different roles to your users. You can assign multiple roles if you wanted to, assign them accordingly to different markets and then to different campaigns. So just very quick. So for example, for Don, I have him as my AM and LM. I wanted him also to be my office manager. So what's going to happen is that it will ask me if I would like his office manager role to be part of the Teams tab in every lead that will be added in the account for whichever campaign he belongs. So if it's not needed, select no. If it's needed, then select yes. And of course, it will show all the markets that you have. So in the primary market, which campaign I would want him to be part of as the office manager, then I could just select from here. So for example, I just wanted him to be part of my absentee campaign. And then of course, there would be question in here if he would actually have option to be assigned with existing leads or just the new leads. All right, once you're done, you just have to click on update user. Hold on. All right. And then that should be updated. It should be good to go. Now, for this one, for the users, like I've said, it is very important you assign them the right roles and then the right accesses and permissions that you wanted them to have. So the permissions I'm referring to, this is going to be the lead permission, as you can see, right? So access to leads, it could be all leads or assigned leads only. It could be full access. It could be view only. So it's going to depend on whatever preference you would want or whatever you want as an access for your sub user. And then of course, access by status. Permissions, this is more of like access to the leading leads, exporting, and then so on. If your sub user is tasked to assign unclaimed leads or unassigned leads, be sure to have this one enabled. So they will have that option in their end. Okay. All right. So Jeremy, for this question for task, you can actually set this up as, a drip campaign if it is something that you would want to actually be ongoing, like on a weekly basis or monthly basis. You can set this up as a drip. Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I put the wrong thing there. So like, for example, when we do like every day before my acquisition team leaves, I want to make sure that they check the new untouched leads, right? So for me, is there a way where we don't have to manually keep setting up those reoccurring tasks and they can automatically occur? You know what I mean, on a daily or weekly basis or something of that magnitude. Hopefully I'm making sense what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think I'm understanding it, but currently what you can do with that is the drip campaign, because like the drip campaign, you can set up step 1, step 2, step 3, and so on, right? So you can have it on a daily basis that you choose the task as a follow-up type, and then it goes on and on. Because right now, if you notice in the task option that we have here on a specific lead, it's actually more of like a one-time task. It doesn't have like an option yet for the task to be like recurring. So I know that you noticed that as well. But if you wanted it to be more of a daily, weekly basis type of task, I would suggest for you to utilize the drip campaign option. Like if you notice here, lead tasks, you could only like do one task at a time. And then if it is like for general business, it's also like one task at a time. Now, just to highlight, by the way, we already have this task template available, both in the web and in the app. So it would be best for you to set up your task templates. So when you create your task, you just select the template and then you don't need to actually fill out the fields as you have to, because the task template will autofill those fields. Okay. Okay. So Jeremy, I'm not sure if that really answers your question, but in order for you to have like a daily, weekly task that will be, of course, auto-populated by the system, it would be best to look into the option for drip campaign for
Yeah,
now.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
but
think I'll use
I'll
it.
discuss this with Sharad. Yeah, I'll discuss with Sharad and see if we could have a functionality wherein we could set up the tasks as like recurring. So I'll
Yeah,
talk to
it's
him about this. Mhm.
for us, it's more so like I'm not sure if you're familiar with like Trello. Are you familiar with Trello boards?
I've heard about Trello, but I haven't used it. Like we're using like a different app, like similar with Trello, but not Trello.
Gotcha. Yeah, so for us, it's like those daily. Hey, make sure you send your KPIs in by the end of the day. Make sure you, just the normal repeaters that you would do on a
Right, right,
day-to-day
right.
basis. So yeah, that's
Exactly.
cool.
Yeah,
Thanks.
but I'll definitely get it to, to Sharad, discuss it with him. I see what you're saying, and yeah, I think it's very good to have that, but I'll discuss it with him, okay? All right. Okay,
Thanks.
so yes. Yeah, and we have some few minutes left. So, in during the time that you are actually setting up your account, you're transitioning over, like in REsimpli, please do not forget to look into the training courses that we have set up. When you are signed up with REsimpli, you would actually get an email that will give you an access. You will have to set up your account, or you set up your login for the training courses, and once you get it, you have access to it. Make sure to look into it. These are walkthrough videos that can help you set up your account, and it's very good to look into these videos because it's going to help you, like, have you in the right route in setting up your account and making sure that your account is set up correctly. Along the way, if you have questions, you can always get in touch with support, or you can get in touch with the onboarding team to get on calls with you. But this is good, especially if you're adding new team members. It will be good for them to look into this training courses and make sure to complete it, because by looking into this, watching these videos, you would already have an idea of, how the system works, how you can set up, specific features and functionalities in the system. So we receive like very good feedback about the training courses, like especially if you're in a bigger team, and it will take a lot of effort and time for you to onboard your team members. This is really going to help a lot. And if you're also doing onboarding calls, it will be best for you to get into the training courses first, so that you could already have like an idea of how the system works and what are going to be the questions that you will have for the onboarding call. We email blasted this training courses when we launch it, like for your access. If you need access to it because you haven't received an email, just get in touch with support, live chat or email support, and then we can definitely have an access set up for you. All right. Thanks also, Brittany. Yeah, before we go, guys, do you have any questions, anything at all you wanna ask me or you wanna discuss? Yeah, I really appreciate your time today. I'm hoping to see you all next week. Next week, we'll cover integration. So, all your questions, if you have anything at all about integration, we will discuss that in the next week's call. All right. Any concerns you have, REsimpli specific, please do not hesitate to be in touch. Yes, Tina, thank you as well. We'll be more than happy to help anytime. Okay, and that's all for now, guys. I hope you have an amazing Thanksgiving ahead. Great day, and stay safe always. Take care, all of you. And I want to thank you again for your time today. So yeah, that's all. Thanks everyone. You take care. Bye-bye.